All right, we're on DAF Hayom at Aleph, and we're going through the various reasons or the various sources of how we know that the Yisr Chametz begins on Erev Pesach. And we said it begins from Chatzos and onwards. So yesterday we saw one way of learning it, and now we're going to continue with different approaches. We're up to Devei Rabbi Yishmael Tana. He says, Matzino Yudalit Shenikra Rishon. We find in one pasuk that the 14th of Nisan is called the first day. Shenemar Barishon Bi'arba Asar Yom Lachodesh. As it says in one pasuk, on the first day, on the 14th day of the month, and in the evening you shall eat matzahs. So the fact that the Torah makes reference to the 14th as the first is an indication, so that it's not the, like we learned yesterday, it was the extraneousness of the pasuk that said Ach Bayom Harishon, that we derive that it means Erev Pesach. Here it's not because of the extraneousness of the pasuk, but rather because the word Barishon implies the 14th itself. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Rishon Demeikara Mashma. He has a different interpretation. He says the word Rishon doesn't just mean first, it means the day before. How do you know this? Da'amar Kra Harishon Adam Tulad, as God says to Eov, were you born before Adam? Meaning the word before and Rishon are the same, and therefore if the Torah says Bayom Harishon, it means the day before Pesach, and that's how we know that there's an Isra Chametz on the 14th.
Precede.
Yes, exactly.
Precede.
Ela Me'ata. So now the Gemara says, well, based on that, Ulakachtem lachem Bayom Harishon Hachanami Rishon Demikara Mashma. There's a mitzvah in the Torah of taking lulav and esrog, and the Torah says you shall take for yourselves on the first day. So by that argument, you should say the first day over there means the 14th of Tishrei, not the first day of Sukkot. It should be Erev Sukkot. The Gemara says no. Shiny hasam dichsivu smachtem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem shivas yamim, because that very same pasuk says you shall rejoice before God for 7 days. So ma shvi lachag afrishon rishon lachag. So therefore, we look at the holy day as a unit of joy. So just like the 7th day is part of the chag, so to the first day that's mentioned in the pasuk has to be part of the chag as well. So, but wait a minute. If you're going to use that argument, then look at our pasuk, which talks about Ach Bayom Harishon Tashbiusu Sor Mi Bateichem Achanami Ksiv Ach Bayom Harishon Tashbiusu, and right before that it says Shivas Yomim Matzos Tochelu, 7 days eat matzah. So if the pasuk is talking about 7 days of Pesach, then you should say that the first day is talking about the first of the 7, which means Pesach itself, just like you said by Lulav and Esrog. So the Gemara says no. Imkei nichtav kra rishon harishon lameli shma mina lechida amran. The answer is that no. The word rishon does mean the first day of the festival, but harishon, the extra letter hey, implies the day before. Because of that extra letter hey, it's telling me that it's the day before. So the Gemara now says ihachi hasanami harishon lameli. Wait a minute. By Lulav and Esrog, it also says harishon with the extra letter a. So you're back to where you started. Visu hasam dichsiv bayom harishon shabbasan vayom hashmini shabbasan em harishon demikara mashma. And furthermore, not only by Lulav and Esrog does it say bayom harishon lefehei, but with the general celebration of Sukkot. In another pasuk it says on the first day there shall be a day of rest, on the 8th day there shall be a day of rest. So maybe that day of rest that's on the first day is not the 15th of Tishrei, which is the first day of Sukkot, but it's Erev Sukkot, according to what you're arguing. The Gemara says no. Shiny hasam domar kra uvayom hashmini shabbasam. Hashmini shmini dechag, afrishon rishon dechag. So the Gemara says, well, no, it's different over there because the Torah connects the Yom Rishon to Yom Hashmini. Just like the Yom Hashmini in that pasuk is part of the festival, so too the Yom Harishon is part of the festival. But then we still have a problem because then Harishon Lamali. Why then did the Torah have to say Harishon with a hey, which implies the day before? It should have just said Rishon without the hey. The Gemara answers, Lime'ute cholo shel moed. It's coming to exclude chol moed. It's coming to tell you only the day 1 and the day 8 is there an obligation to rest, but in all the intermediate days between 1 and 8, you don't have to rest. That's why you need the letter hey. So the Gemara says, wait a minute, cholo shel moed me rishon ushmini nafka. You still don't need the letter hey. Just by virtue of the fact that the Torah says on day 1 and day 8 there shall be a day of rest, it implies that all the intermediate days are not days of rest. You don't need the letter hey for that. The Gemara says yes you do, because it's tzarich techamina hold because of Rachmana uvayom hashmini vav mosif alinin rishon tafilu b'cholo shel moed kamash malan. I would have thought as follows, because since the Torah says not Bayom Hashmini Shabbosim. It says Uvayom Hashmini Shabbosim, and on the 8th day. So it's on the first day and on the 8th day. I would have thought that we're appending the two together to almost say, like, from day 1 through day 8, there shall be a day of rest. And therefore, you need the extra letter Hey to tell you, no, it's 1 and 8 davka, and to the exclusion of the intermediate days. So the Gemara says, V'lo lichtov rachmana lo vav v'lo hey. But let me ask you another basic question. Don't have the letter vav in the pasuk, and then you won't need the letter hey in the pasuk. Leave them both out, right? So visu hasam dichsiv bayom harishon mikra kodesh yelachem rishon demikara mashma. Now I'm going to ask you another pasuk. There's another pasuk that says, also in reference to Sukkot, on the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall not work. So that's also by Yom Harishon with a hey, which implies the day before. So Ella, the Gemara says, you're right. Really, without any other type of limud, I couldn't use the word Harishon to tell me that really Harishon means the day before, but I have these other Harishons which I need for some other purpose. And because I need them for the other purpose, they're not coming to, the letter Hey of those Rishons is not coming to teach me that it's the day before the first day of the Chag, but rather it's the day of the Chag. Why did it have to write it with a letter Hey? To tell me a different drasha. Elahani shlosha rishon miboy leilech the Tana devei Rabbi Yishmael. For the following brayse, the Tana devei Rabbi Yishmael, bischar shlosha rishon zachu lishlosha rishon. That in the merit of these three rishons, these three firsts, which the Torah discusses, namely the first day of Sukkot, the first day when you take lulav and esrog, and the first day of Pesach. Those 3 times when it says Harishon is coming to teach me the following. Lahachar zaro shel Esav, lebinyan beis hamikdash v'lishmo shel Mashiach. That in the merit of the observance of these 3 mitzvahs, the first day of Pesach, the first day of Sukkot, and the taking of the Arba Minim on the first day of Sukkot, we merit to 3 gifts. We merit to destroy the seed of Amalek, or of Esav. We merit to build the Beis HaMikdash, and we merit the name of the Mashiach. That terminology is a little bit foreign to us. And also, the Gemara never tells us the correlation between these 3 mitzvahs and these 3 gifts. That requires separate analysis, which we're not going to go into now. But you can make a whole drush of trying to connect these particular 3 mitzvahs and how they connect to these 3 gifts: the destruction of the seed of Esav, the building of the Beis Hamikdash, and the Mashiach. Lahachar zaro shel Esav. And how do you know that these 3 things are connected? Because these 3 things are also called Rishon. Dichsiv hayetze harishon admoni kolo kader seyar. Because Esav is called a Rishon. He's not one that's known as the one who came out of his mother's womb first, that was completely ruddy. Ulevinyan Beis Hamikdash dichsiv, and the building of the temple is also called Reishis. Dichsiv kisei chavod marom merishon makom mikdashenu, as it says in Yirmiyah, that the throne of glory that is exalted from the first, the place of our temple. So the temple is called Rishon, and v'lishmo shel Mashiach, and for the name of the Mashiach, dichsiv Rishon LeTzion Hinei Hinam, that the first of Zion, behold, it is here, or it is coming. So basically, you see that these 3 things are called Rishon, and therefore the extra letter Hey in the 3 places where it says Harishon, which are extraneous, are there to connect and tell us this agadic teaching, not to tell us any halachic teaching. So basically, the Gemara's conclusion, it would seem, is that perhaps only one Harishon that's written by Pesach is coming to teach me that it's the day before, but all of the other times that it says Harishon, both by Lulav and Esrog and by Sukkot, and another time that it says Harishon, is coming to make an agadic teaching.
Well, you also have the Ach for the Erev Pesach, right? You don't have to rely on the Harishon, do you?
Well, we're going to need Ach for something. I mean, we're going to need Ach to tell me that you're going to have to divide it the day in half, like we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, but you need to, anyway. All right. Rava Amar Mehacha. Rava says, I have a much more basic way to derive that Erev Pesach is Asur B'chametz. Why? Because it says, Lo sishchar al chametz dam sivchi. The Torah says that you may not slaughter my sacrifice, my paschal sacrifice, over chametz. Lo sishchar ha-pesach v'adayin chametz kayim, which means that once the time of shechting the carbon Pesach arrives, you may not have chametz in your possession. When is the time to shech the korban pesach? From chatzos and onwards. And therefore that teaches me that you can't have chametz from chatzos and onwards. Ve'ema kol chad v'chad ki shachit. The Gemara's question therefore is, but wait a minute, maybe the way you learn the pasuk is that each person has to dispose of his chametz immediately before he shechs his korban pesach. You have the whole afternoon to shech your korban pesach. Maybe each person, not that there's an isser chametz from chatzos and onwards, but if you're going to shech your korban pesach at 1, then 5 to 1, make sure you have no chametz. If you're going to shech it at 4 in the afternoon, then at 5 to 4, make sure you have no chametz. So the Gemara says, Man shchita amar rachmana. No, because the Torah gives one blanket statement for all of Klal Yisrael, that when it's time to shech the korban pesach, that's when you can't have chametz. It's Rashi. It's a little bit unclear from Rashi. Where do you see from the pasuk? Someone suggested this morning that it has to do with the fact that the Torah speaks in the singular. Lo sishchat, thou shalt not. Thou in the singular, meaning all of Klal Yisrael are included in the same boat. You all have the same obligation at the same time. Tanya nami hachi ach bayom harishon tashbisu seor mibatechem. We have a brisa now that supports everything that we've said and going to bring a whole bunch of different opinions. The Torah says, however, on the first day you shall remove leaven from your homes. May erev Yom Tov. So that refers to on erev Pesach you can't have chametz. Oeino ela b'Yom Tov atzmo. Maybe you'll say no. Maybe it's only telling you that on the first day of Pesach you can't have leaven. Talmud lomar lo sishchad al chametz dam sivchi. Lo sishchad es Pesach v'adayin chametz kayim. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel tells me the exact teaching that we learned before, that when it's time to shech the korban Pesach you can't have chametz. Rabbi Akiva Omer Eino Tzarich. Rabbi Akiva says no, you don't need it from that pasuk because I have another way of learning it. Harehu Omer Ach Bayom Harishon Tashbisu Sor Mibatechem. It says on the first day you shall remove sor from your house. Uchsiv Kol Malacha Lo Yeyos Elochem. And it says in the Torah that on the first day of Pesach you're not allowed to do malacha. Umatzinu Lahavara Shehiav Malacha. But we know that burning, which is what you need to do in order to dispose of your chametz, is a malacha. So therefore, it can't be that the Torah is advocating that I burn my chametz on the first day of Pesach, because it would be usher to do that. It must therefore be that I have to burn the chametz the day before and remove it from my possession. Rabbi Yossi Omer Eino Tzarich, Harehu Omer Ach Bayom Harishon Tashbisus or Mibatechem Me Erev Yom Tov. Rabbi Yossi says, I have a different way of learning it. When the Torah says remove sor from your houses on the first day, it must mean from Erev Yom Tov, Oena Ela B'Yom Tov, and maybe you'll argue no that it means Yom Tov. Talmud Lomar Ach Chalak. That's where you get the word Ach. So Rabbi Yossi says you get it from the word Ach because why? Because this Ach means that the Torah is telling you that only in the middle of the day do you have to cease having chametz in your possession. And v'i b'yom tov atzmo mishari. And if you're going to tell me that the pasuk is talking about the first day of Pesach, how could it ever be that only a portion of the day is usher in chametz? Like we learned yesterday, there's a scriptural connection between the prohibition of chametz to the mitzvah of eating matzah. And since the mitzvah of matzah begins at nighttime, at the very beginning of Pesach, so too is the obligation to dispose of chametz. So the word ach teaches me that it must be referring to Erev Pesach. Fine. Amar Ravash, Mami Nami de Rabbi Akiva Tzlas. Let's go back to Rabbi Akiva's teaching for a minute. Rabbi Akiva said that since the Torah obligates me to burn the chametz, and I know I'm not allowed to burn on the first day of Pesach because there's an Isser Malacha, it must be that the obligation to burn chametz is on Erev Pesach. So we learn from that statement of Rabbi Akiva three things. Shma mina ein bir chametz elas reifa. First of all, you learn that according to him, the only way to dispose of chametz properly is by burning it. In other words, you don't have the option of flushing it down the toilet, which would not be involved doing a malacha, because Rabbi Akiva says there's a conflict here between disposing of chametz and the issur of burning. So it must be that he holds that the only way to dispose of chametz is through burning. Okay, and that's going to be a machlokus that we're going to see later on. Another issue that we see that Rabbi Akiva paskins in a machlokus is that we saw in the 7th parak of Masechah Shabbos that there's a machlokus as to why, even though the Torah says in general you may not do work on Shabbos, the Torah singles out lo sevaru eish b'chol moshvasechem, do not burn fire. Why does the Torah single out that one particular malacha? So there's a machlokas tanoim. One opinion is that it's lalav yatzas, to tell you that the act of burning is not a real malacha, but rather it's only a mitzvah lo saseh, and that's what makes it different. And the other mandarma says, no, it is a bona fide actual malacha, just like the other 38 malachos, and it's coming to be, it's singled out to tell you that when you do just one malacha, you're chayiv. You don't have to do all 39. So that's lechalek. So you see that Rabbi Akiva holds that it's lechalek, that he holds that it's a bona fide malacha, because he says, after all, in the Brisa, that havara is a malacha. So the only justification that he has to say that havara is a malacha is if he holds that, like this Tana, who says that it's lechalek and not lelav yatzas. And the third thing that we learn from Rabbi Akiva, Shema mino lo amrinan hol v'hutra havar l'tzarach hutra nami shelo l'tzarach. This is the famous principle of mitoch. It seems that to be, at least, that mitoch shehutra malacha l'tzarach ochel nefesh hutra l'chol davar. That's once a particular act is permitted for cooking on Yantiv, it's permitted for other things that are not directly involved with the cooking process. That's generally what we say. That's the principle of Hillel. It seems like Rabbi Akiva does not agree with that, because even though burning is permitted in order to cook on Yantiv, we would not allow you to dispose of chametz, which is a non-cooking act, even though normally the principle of mitoch would allow you to do that. So you see that Rabbi Akiva does not hold of this principle of mitoch, which Gemara is calling over here hol v'hutra. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. Let's go on to the next brayso. Shivas yomim sorli yimotzei bevateichem. Ma tamul lomar. Why does the Torah have to say that for 7 days leaven may not be found in your homes? Why do you need that pasuk? V'alo kvar nemar lo yera'eh lecha se'or v'lo yera'eh lecha chametz b'chol givulecha. The Torah previously has said you may not have leaven seen or chametz seen in all of your borders. So why do you have to have that other? Why are both psukim necessary? Lefishan emra lo yeira elechaso or shalcha yataro avalataro shalachem v'shal gavoa. Because if I just had the latter pasuk, the pasuk says lecha, it may not be seen to you or for you, which implies that the only prohibition is if it's your chametz. But what if it's not your chametz? Maybe if it belongs to someone else, or maybe it belongs to Hashem because it's hektish. So you might think that you're allowed to eat it. And then furthermore, Yachol Yatmin, V'yakabel Bikdonos Min Anachri. Furthermore, the pasuk only says it may not be seen to you. What if you cover it up and you can't see it? So maybe that's okay. And what if a non-Jew gives you an object and asks you to watch over it? Maybe that's okay because it's not yours. Therefore, Talmud Lomar Lo Yimatzeh. And that's why I need the first pasuk. Now, I'm going to continue along in this brisa. You're going to see very quickly that this brisa begins to contradict itself and become very nonsensical. So just bear with us, because we're going to break it down and analyze it very carefully. But keep in mind what we've just learned from the brisa. Let us continue. Ainli ela benachri shelo kivshasa ve'ein shari imcha b'chatzer nachri shekivshasa v'shari imcha b'chatzer minayin. So that pasuk which tells you that you may not have the pikadon, you may not have an object for safekeeping that belongs to a Gentile with you on Pesach, that only teaches me if it's a nachri, if it's a non-Jew that you don't have control over and does not live near you, it does not live with you in your courtyard. How do you know that it also applies to a nachri that you control and that lives with you in your chatzar? How do you know that also applies that you may not have his chametz? Talmud lomar lo yimotzei bevateichem. Therefore, the Torah says it may not be found in your homes at all. Now, the reason why this is nonsensical is because which is more logical?
The other way around.
You would think the other way around. That maybe the only time that I'm prohibited from having a Gentile's chametz is if he's someone that I can control. He works for me, or he lives near me, right? But someone who's a complete stranger, there's more of a svara to say that I should be allowed to have his chametz in my possession. So the brayso is totally topsy-turvy at this point. It's going to get even worse. Ainli ela shebebatechem v'boros b'shichin v'maros minayin. Then the brayso says that only tells me that it's not allowed to be in my home. The pasuk of Sor lo yimotzei bevatechem. How do you know that it cannot be on other properties of mine that are outside my house, such as my wells, my cisterns, and my caves? Talmud lomar b'chol givulecha. So therefore you have the second pasuk, which instead of saying bevatechem, it says in your borders. Borders implies all of your property. V'adayin ani omer bebatim over mishum bal yeroel bal yimatzei ubal yatmin ubal yakabel pikdonos min anachri. But maybe I could argue as follows. I have two separate psukim. The first pasuk, which says in your homes, does not have the word lecha, which implies that even if it's not my chametz, I'm not allowed to have it in my home. And maybe that's the way I'm supposed to learn the first pasuk. And begvulan shalcha yataro avalataro shalacherim v'shal gavoa. So, but the second pasuk, which says it may not be in all of your borders, even beyond your home, but there it says the word lecha. So maybe the only time that it's prohibited for it to be outside of my house on my property is only when it belongs to me. But if it belongs to someone else, it is allowed to be in my cave and in my well and in my cistern. So minayin litenes amar shel zeh bazeh v'shel zeh bazeh. How then do we know that we can mix and match and apply the words from one pasuk to another, so that we end up with everything applying to everything? Tamul Omar Soor Soor Ligzera Shava. That's why we have the word Soor written in both psukim to connect them. Ne'amar Soor bebatim Soor limatzei bevatechem. V'ne'amar Soor bigvulim lo reilecha Soor. The Torah says the word Soor in the context of your home, and the Torah says the word Soor in the context of all of your borders. Masor Homer Bibatim over Mishum Bal Yerol Bal Yamatsu Bal Yatmin Bal Yikabel Bikdonos Min Anachrim. So that therefore, just like with the first pasuk in your house, if you have chametz in your house, you violate the law, even if it's not your own chametz, but someone gave it to you for safekeeping. Af Soor Homer Bigvulim over Mishum Bal Yerol Bal Yamatsu Bal Yatmin Bal Yikabel Bikdonos Min Anachrim. So too, even if it's outside your house but on your property, you are going to violate the law, even if the chametz is not yours but was given to you for safekeeping by a non-Jew. Now, this next point is going to contradict what we just said. And furthermore, just like in the second pasuk, the yeast or the leaven has to belong to you in order to be in violation of the law. So too, so too, the leaven that is in your home has to belong to you in order for you to be in violation, which completely contradicts the previous statement. The previous statement said just the opposite. It said just like in your homes, whether it belongs to you or not, it's usher. So too, when it's outside your home, it's the same thing. The second part of the brisa just said, just like when it's outside your house on your property, it has to belong to you in order to be in violation. So too, when it's in your home, it has to belong to you in order for you to be in violation. So we have a lot of analysis to do. Let's go. Amar Mar. Ainli ela benachri shelo kivshaso ve'en shariimcha b'chatzer. Nachri shekivshaso v'shariimcha b'chatzer minayin tamalomar lo yimatzeh. Let's go back to that part of the brisa where it said that the Torah says that I'm not allowed to have it in my home, even if it belongs to a nachri. You might think that only applies to a nachri that is not under your control and that does not live with you in the same chatzar. But a nachri that lives with you in the same chatzar and is under your control, maybe you are allowed to have his chametz, and therefore you need the word lo yimatzeh. So klape laya, the Gemara says, which direction are you going? You're going backwards. In other words, the whole logic is backwards. It should be that there's more of a logic to prohibit the chametz of a nachri that is more connected to you than the chametz of a nachri that is less connected to you. So Amar Abaya Epoch. So Abaya says, you're right, you got to switch around the girsa in the brayis in order for it to make any sense. That not only is the chametz of a nachri that is close to you prohibited, but even the chametz of a nachri that is distant from you is prohibited. Rava Amar La'olam Lote Boch V'Areishakai. Rava says, no, you don't have to reverse the brisa. That line of the nachri is going back on the first part of the brisa, which permits you to have the chametz of another in your home. That you are allowed, the only prohibition is when the chametz belongs to you. That's only when it's prohibited for you to have it in your possession. But if it belongs to someone else, or it belongs to Hashem, because it's hektish, you are allowed to have it in your possession. Ainli ela benachri shelo kivshaso. And on that the brisa says, well, that maybe that's only true if it's a nachri that's not under my control. Ve'en shariimcha b'chatzer, doesn't live with me in the same courtyard. That's when I'm allowed to have his box of chametz in my possession. Nachri shekivshasa v'shariimcha b'chatzer minayin. But how do you know that it applies even to a nachri who's under your control and lives with you in the same chatzer? So tamalomar lo yimatzeh. And that's why I need the extra pasuk of no, you may not have it. So the Gemara says, but that also is nonsensical because v'haitana mihadir ahatera v'nasiv lakra li'isura doesn't make any sense. This Tana is trying to find a pasuk to make it mutter for me to have the chametz of a nachri in my home on Pesach. And now he gives me a pasuk that says lo yimatzeh, that it may not be found. That's opposite of what we would expect. So the Gemara says, Mishum shenamar lecha lecha trei zimni. Answers the Gemara because that pasuk of lo yimatzeh, which is really what we're saying is it's written 2 times the word lecha in the pasuk of lo yera'eh lecha So'or v'lo yera'eh lecha chametz. It says the word lecha in that pasuk 2 times, and we're actually learning from the pasuk of v'lo yera'eh lecha, v'lo yera'eh lecha, is telling me that it's only usher to me when it belongs to me. But when it doesn't belong to me, then I'm allowed to have it. So we take one of the lechas from that other pasuk and we apply it to the pasuk over here, and we say that even by the isser of bal yimatzeh, of the prohibition of having it in your possession, it's only usher when the chametz belongs to you.
When you say in your possession, you mean like just meaning like you're...
It's on your property.
On your property.
It's on your property. That's what it means to possess something. I possess, not that I own it, but that it's in my domain. That's a good word. It's in my domain. Now, what we're basically saying now, at least at this stage of the Gemara, is that it's okay to have a nachris chametz in my domain over Pesach as long as I don't own it. Right? That's what the Gemara is suggesting now.
So countering what it just finished saying.
Countering what it had said before in the Brisa. So Omar Mar Yachol Yatmin v'Yakabel Pikdonos Min HaNachrim. Now we go to the next part of the Brisa, which says you might think that you're allowed to accept objects for safekeeping from a nachri that are chametz. Tamulomar lo yimatzeh. Therefore, the pasuk says no lo yimatzeh. Wait a minute. You just got through telling me that I am allowed to have others chametz in my possession, whether it belongs to others or to Hashem. So lo kasha hadu kabbalah le'achrayas hadu lo kabbalah le'achrayas. The answer is that it depends. When a person accepts financial responsibility for the object that it is in his safekeeping, then it's usher. When a person says, you can deposit your chametz on my property, but I'm taking no financial responsibility for it, then it's permitted to have it in your possession over Pesach, because it's not like your financial product. It's not yours. You've got no financial responsibility for it, and therefore you're allowed to keep it on your property over Pesach.
Maybe it really means you can't really control it. If you say, okay, you've got your stuff.
Wait a minute, Ha. You're going to see clarification of that very point in just a moment. So I know where you're going. Just hold on for one moment. Kihada Amar Lahu Rava Livnei Machuza. And here's an example. Rava once said to the members of the city of Machuza. The city of Machuza was a big metropolitan area, and he told them, "V'iru chamira de b'nei chela mibataychu kevin de ilu migna v'ilu mitvid b'rishusaychu koyu v'isul shlumi b'dilchon dami va'aser." That basically there used to be battalions of soldiers that used to pass through Machuza regularly on their way to war, on their way back from war, and the rule of the country was that they had rights of seizure, that they could take your food, and they would also leave over provisions of the army and leave them in the town for safekeeping and leave them with different members of the town. Rabbi said to the people, anyone who has provisions that belong to these battalions has to dispose of them before Pesach. Why? Because since they're going to hold you financially responsible if these things get stolen or lost, then it is considered to be as if they are yours already, and therefore you cannot have them in your possession on Pesach. Now, Hanich Laman Domer Dover Hagarim Lamaman Kimaman Dami. Elaman Domer Lav Kimaman Dami Ma'ikal Meimar. So the Gemara asks the question. We have a machlokus where is it? In Bava Kama. There's a machlokus in Bava Kama as to whether something that I have financial responsibility for, something that I have to make good financially for, is considered to be my finances or not. Is davar hagorim l'mammon something that will cause me to incur out-of-pocket expenses? Is that in itself like money itself? Right? If I have to pay for something, does that mean that it's like my money already? Or is it not like my money? And therefore, as far as it concerns our issue over here, the fact that if this gets stolen, I have to replace it, does it make it like my property or not? This is a machlokus in Bava Kama. So this whole sugya only works well if you say that something that I am financially responsible for is like my property. But if you hold not that way, then why should I have to get rid of it? So the Gemara says, "Shiny hacha da amar lo yimatzeh," because of the special pasuk. That's the reason why. That even though you could argue that normally it's not like it's mine, but here the Torah is telling you, no, the fact that you're financially responsible for it makes it as if it's yours. Ika da amri, others learn just the opposite. That if it works out well if you hold that something that I'm financially responsible for is not as if it's mine. That's why you need a special pasuk of lo yimatze to tell you that here for chametz it is like yours. But if you tell me that all over, throughout Kol HaTorah Kula, in financial issues, anytime I'm financially responsible for an object, it becomes automatically as if it's mine, so then why do I need a pasuk of lo yimatze? Even without the pasuk of lo yimatze, I should know that it's like my chametz and it's aser. The Gemara answers itzrich. I'll tell you why. Because I might have thought that since in a situation where the chametz is not lost, and since in a situation where the chametz is not stolen, I don't have the option of telling the guy whose chametz I'm holding for storage, you know what, I've become emotionally attached to your chametz, I've decided I'm going to pay you for it and keep the chametz for myself. I don't have the option of doing that. When the guy gave me his box of chametz for safekeeping, I don't have the option of either giving him back the chametz or paying him for it. I have to give it back to him. And therefore you could have argued that as far as the ownership of chametz is concerned, is that it's not really mine, and therefore I should be able to house it over Pesach because it's not really mine. Therefore, you need the pasuk to tell you is that even though there's an aspect of it that makes it not yours, it still is yours vis-a-vis the prohibition of chametz and your over and bal yirah and bal yimatzeh if you're financially responsible for it. Okay, we'll hold it here for today. Have a wonderful day.